Well, Rich, the town says this is not something that it initiated. Instead, it seems to stem from some long simmering bad blood between neighbors on this street in Hamlin. And caught in the middle is a 15-year-old boy who just wants to sell the crops that he grew from seed. 15-year-old Joey Hofschneider wants to be a farmer. Every day he tends to his crops on land that some friends have given him to farm.
I grow tomatoes, cucumbers, zucchini, summer squash, big tomatoes, corn, eggplant, and I have about 5 acres worth of it.
He's also an entrepreneur, selling his vegetables at this small stand in front of his home on West Watoma Beach Road in Hamlin, hoping to raise a little money for college.
Put it up about 3 weeks ago, and people have been stopping by every day, putting money in the can for me and buying a lot of vegetables.
It's made his mother very proud.
I've always taught my children to follow your heart, follow your passion, and trust that you are doing the right thing.
But last week, Joey found this on his vegetable stand, a note from the town of Hamlin, warning him to shut down the stand or he'd face a citation. It says the zoning laws prevent him from selling his items on this street.
It does not make sense at all to me, and just you run it through your head and just can't really think of anything.
It's just unjust to our younger generation to step on them for something so small.
Kevin Baxter is the man who gave Joey the land to farm. Ironically, he says his brother is the neighbor who complained about the stand.
To go out and make this big of an issue over a little stand that he cannot see from his yard, I think is, you know, this ain't Main Street where we got 20 cars pulling at one time.
Roadside stands aren't allowed in residential lakefront property.
Chad Faber is the Hamlin Code Enforcement Officer. He says he tried to dissuade the neighbor from filing the complaint, but says once he did, Faber's hands were tied.
In this case, somebody complained about the farm stand. Once that happens, I don't have any leeway to not ask them to stop doing what they're doing.
If the neighborhood has anything to say about it, Joey will be allowed to sell his vegetables. Signs of support have gone up on his street, and a petition drive to keep the stand up has garnered nearly 100 signatures already. But one name that won't be on it is the neighbor who complained. We wanted to ask him about his concerns, but he wouldn't come to the door. What we found interesting, though, was that while objecting to the farm stand, he hasn't filed any complaints about this house around the corner, where they advertise used items for sale. Maybe that's because neighbors say it's his son's house. The town now plans to look into it.
I didn't know he was selling junk. It's never come to my attention before. At least I certainly couldn't prove that he was selling junk.
With a deadline of Sunday to shut down his vegetable stand, Joey tries to keep a positive outlook, but admits as a kid it's all very confusing.
As a child, I look up to adults, and I don't get why they're stopping a young entrepreneur that's trying to make some money.
Joey and his supporters plan to ask the town for a special use permit so he can continue to operate for the remainder of the growing season. We'll see what the town has to say about it, and we'll let you know what they decide. If he can't, he does have a couple of other options. He could set up at the weekly farmers market at the town hall in Hamlin, or sell crop shares and deliver his veggies directly to customers. Rich?
Boy, oh boy. Yeah, this raises some other questions. What about a lemonade stand some kid wants to put up in front of his yard? Cookie sales, Girl Scouts going door to door. What about those things?
Well, technically the lemonade stand would be prohibited. Girl Scout cookies, they'd need a vendor's license, but those are usually short-lived and they don't tend to result in a complaint, so they don't tend to be enforced.
All right, we'll see what happens. Brett Davidson with our report. Thanks, Brett.
Yep.